A small-town luxury car dealership gleamed under the morning sun. Marble floors, suits, and shallow smiles. Then came Elijah, a quiet, middle-aged black mechanic in worn boots and oil-stained hands. He stepped inside, holding a small metal box and looking out of place. The staff's eyes turned sharp. The sales manager sneered, "Sir, this isn't your kind of place." The line drew laughter from others, and silence from Elijah, whose dignity stayed intact even in humiliation. He wasn't here to buy a car. He was here for something that would change every life in that room. The morning light spilled across the glass walls of Bridgeway Motors, catching the gleam of polished hoods and the scent of fresh leather. Inside, salesmen in tailored suits leaned on shiny cars, their voices smooth and practiced, selling dreams that only a few could afford. And then, the door chimed. Heads turned. A man stepped in. Late 50s, skin darkened by years under the sun, hands rough and scarred from engine grease that never fully washed away. His jeans were faded, his boots cracked, his jacket old but clean. In his right hand, he carried a small, rusted metal box. He paused near the entrance, his eyes scanning the spotless showroom, the marble floor reflecting light so bright it almost hurt to look at. He didn't move toward the cars or the reception desk. He just stood there quietly. A young salesman whispered, "Is he lost?" The receptionist forced a smile. "Sir, can I help you?" Elijah nodded slightly. "I'm looking for someone." His voice was calm, deep, respectful. Before she could ask who, a man in a navy blazer strode forward, Mr. Collins, the sales manager. His smile was wide, but his tone carried the kind of politeness that hid a blade. "Sir, this is a private showroom. We usually work by appointment." Elijah nodded again. "I won't be long." Collins crossed his arms. "We have a maintenance shop down the street if you're looking for used parts." A few of the younger employees chuckled. Elijah said nothing. His gaze drifted to the cars, the spotless chrome, the soft reflections of men who thought they were better than him. He'd fixed engines like these for 20 years. He knew every sound they made, every secret they hid under their perfect shells. "Sir," Collins said again, firmer now, "this really isn't your kind of place." The words hung in the air, sharp, cold, deliberate. For a moment, Elijah's lips tightened, not in anger but in something quieter, a tired understanding. He simply said, "Maybe not." Then, with the same calm, he turned toward the door. The laughter behind him was soft but heavy. It followed him like an echo as he stepped outside, sunlight washing over his face. He stood by his old pickup truck for a moment, holding that small metal box. Inside was something priceless, but not to those men. He looked back at the dealership, at the reflections of people too proud to see beyond appearances. Then he whispered to himself, "Maybe they'll see, someday." He placed the box gently on the passenger seat, started the engine, and drove away, the sound of the old truck fading beneath the hum of luxury engines. The late afternoon sun sank behind the dealership's glass walls, painting the parking lot in amber light. Elijah's truck sat alone under a flickering lamp, dust clinging to its doors, paint faded from years of work and weather. He climbed inside slowly, resting his rough hands on the steering wheel. For a long moment, he didn't start the engine. He just breathed, slow, steady, quiet. In that silence lived years of swallowed pride and invisible battles. He'd been told, "You're not qualified," when he was the best mechanic in town, maybe next time when others less skilled were chosen. He'd watched people glance past him in grocery lines, skip him at diners, call him sir with the tone of someone saying, "Stay away." He'd learned to live between looks, not angry, just tired. Inside the dealership, laughter floated through the glass. "Man, did you see his hands? Looked like he's been living under a car," one said. Another chuckled. "Probably thought we had free coffee." Sarah heard it from the break room. The youngest intern there, 22, nervous, eager to fit in. She laughed at their jokes the first week just to blend in. But something about this one stuck like a stone in her chest. She remembered Elijah's eyes. Calm, steady, not confused or ashamed. He didn't look like a man out of place. He looked like a man used to being looked down on. As the others joked, Sarah pretended to focus on her screen, but her fingers didn't move. Guilt, a small, quiet thing, began to take root. That night, her apartment felt smaller than usual. The laughter from earlier replayed in her mind, followed by the image of Elijah's cracked boots and gentle nod. She opened her laptop. Out of curiosity, or conscience, she typed into the search bar, "Elijah Mechanic Bridgeway Town." At first, nothing. Then, one old article, her eyes widened as she read. It was dated nearly 15 years ago. Local mechanic saves soldier from fiery wreck. A photo showed a younger Elijah, standing beside a wrecked jeep, his arm wrapped in bandages. The soldier's name, James Porter, leapt from the page. Sarah froze. Mayor James Porter. Her breath caught. The man they mocked today had once pulled their mayor from a burning vehicle. She sat back, staring at the glow of her screen, the sound of city traffic whispering through her window. For the first time, the world around her felt heavier, unfair in ways she'd never noticed. Sarah closed her laptop slowly, whispering to herself, "How many times have we done this? How many people have we laughed at without ever knowing their story?" By morning, Bridgeway Motors was buzzing. The salesmen who had laughed the day before were suddenly on edge. The dealership had received a call. The mayor was coming. No one knew why. Polish rags flew, coffee cups vanished, and Mr. Collins barked orders like a drill sergeant. "Everyone stay sharp," he said. "This could be great press for us." He didn't mention Elijah, but his eyes lingered uneasily toward the parking lot, where the old mechanic's pickup had been seen earlier that morning. At 10:02 a.m., the low hum of engines filled the street. A black SUV convoy rolled in, flags fluttering on the hoods. Cameras followed. Security stepped out first, then Mayor James Porter, tall, composed, dressed in a dark overcoat. The room straightened. Smiles spread like paint on glass. Professional, fake, rehearsed. Collins stepped forward, hand extended. "Mr. Mayor, what an honor to—" But the mayor walked right past him. His eyes swept the showroom until they caught on the doorway near the service entrance, where Elijah stood quietly, wearing the same jacket, the same calm expression. The mayor froze. Then, in front of a stunned crowd, he walked straight to Elijah. Cameras clicked rapidly, reporters whispering. Collins blinked, confused. "Sir, that's—" But before anyone could speak again, Mayor Porter stopped, dropped to one knee, and looked up at Elijah. His voice cracked. "Sir, I owe you my life." The room fell silent. You could hear the hum of the air conditioner, the faint click of a camera shutter. No one moved. Elijah's brow furrowed slightly. He didn't seem surprised, just quietly emotional. He opened the small metal box he'd been carrying. Inside lay an old weathered photograph. A jeep engulfed in flames, a soldier barely visible through smoke. And beside it, a young mechanic pulling him free. The mayor's hand trembled as he touched the photo. "That day," he said softly, "I thought I was going to die. You didn't even know my name. You just dragged me out and disappeared." Elijah looked at him, his voice gentle. "You made it. That's what matters." Tears welled in the mayor's eyes. Around them, employees who had mocked Elijah the day before now stood frozen, their pride crumbling in silence. Collins tried to speak, but his voice failed. Cameras flashed. The photo in the box gleamed under the showroom lights, a piece of truth burning brighter than the polished cars around it. The mayor rose slowly and faced the crowd. "This man," he said, pointing to Elijah, "is a hero, and today this city honors him." Elijah only nodded, eyes lowered. "I didn't come for honor," he said softly, "just to return something that belongs to you." He reached into the box again, and the mayor's expression changed completely. The air inside Bridgeway Motors was thick with silence. Reporters had stopped speaking. Phones stopped buzzing. Even the faint hum of the showroom lights seemed to fade as every pair of eyes turned toward Elijah. The mayor's voice echoed, calm but heavy. "This man didn't come to buy a car. He came to return my father's watch." He reached into Elijah's trembling hand and lifted the small silver timepiece for all to see. The edges were blackened, the glass cracked, yet the faint ticking still carried through the room. "It survived the fire," the mayor said softly. "So did I." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mr. Collins, the sales manager, took an awkward step forward. "Mr. Mayor, I had no idea. We thought—" The mayor turned, eyes sharp. "You thought wrong." Elijah set the metal box gently on the counter. "It was in the glove compartment," he said quietly. "I've been meaning to return it for a long time." He spoke simply, without bitterness or pride, just truth. The employees who had mocked him the day before stood frozen, their faces drained of color. The young salesman who'd laughed the loudest now looked down at his shoes, shame heavy on his shoulders. Elijah looked around at them, not with anger, but with a calm that made every word cut deeper. "You don't have to kneel," he said, his voice low but steady. "Just treat people right." The room went still again. Then, slowly, the mayor placed his hand on Elijah's shoulder, a gesture filled with weight and gratitude. Cameras flashed like bursts of lightning. The world outside that glass showroom suddenly felt different. Smaller, quieter, Bridgeway Motors, the mayor announced, will now sponsor a fund in this man's name to honor acts of unseen courage. Collins swallowed hard, managing a faint, nervous smile. Of course, sir. We'd be honored. But his voice cracked, guilt lingering in every word. Elijah nodded once. Do right by people, he said softly. That's all that matters. And with that, he turned toward the door. The same door he'd been pushed away from just a day earlier. But this time, no one stopped him. No one laughed. The sound of his boots on the marble floor was the only thing that dared to move in that room. Outside, the morning light fell across his face. Soft, golden, forgiving. He took a deep breath, glancing up at the clear sky. The town, once blind to him, now whispered his name. He climbed into his old pickup truck, set the empty metal box on the passenger seat, and smiled faintly. Because sometimes, it takes the humblest hands to remind the world what real worth looks like.